Good afternoon. My name is William Campillay-Llanos. I'm PhD student at the Universidad Católca del Maule in the Applied Mathematical Modeling program. My research interest is ecology and environment. I'm collaborating with Dr. Fernando Cordova-Lepe, Dr. Felipe Moreno Gomez, and Dr. Nelson Velázquez from the same university. I have divided my presentation into three different parts. First, I will start by explaining the evolutionary ecological context with an image. Then, I will show you the ecological phenomena of interest. Finally, I will present the objective, methodology, our funding, and the future idea of this project. The image shows a mountain of San Jacinto, California from the Age era approximately 12,000 years ago. In addition, a group of the species can be visualized. A group of the species that interact directly or indirectly in a given place is called a community. However, if we introduce a biotic factor, it is an ecosystem. The biological structure of such community is defined by the composition of the species and their relative abundance. If we imagine this picture in motion, we could visualize the evolution of the reproduction and survival dynamic. As you can see, the most creative predator were able to create new strategies to attack. Contrary, the most efficient prey were able to modify their behavior in order to save their life. The motivation of this study is that predator and prey differ in body mass, and consequently, the most important question arises: what are the effects that the mass of the species has on the dynamic of the community? Predation is a type of biological interaction in which an individual of animal species hunts another individual to survive. This interaction acting as a natural selection agent influencing the evolution of predator and their prey. These predators have different body mass, and in a counterintuitive way they shape the nature. Even in classical culture after Roman, who have given foundation to our common sense, consider this species as fit. Currently, they are in danger of extinction. The theory predicts that when predators disappear, larger beavers feel less fearful, transit to new places, occupy different space, eat new plants, and therefore radically modify the ecosystem. One way to describe what happened in a community is through the interaction of the species. The image represents a conceptual diagram of the Yellowstone ecosystem in which the direct and indirect effects of an upper predator are established. In this case, the wolf directly affects the coyote and elk. Affecting the coyote indirectly affects the antelope and small mammals. Also, directly affecting the elk and indirectly affect the birds, and plants in the ecosystem. A phenomenon that can be observed in community is the coexistence of the species. A classical example of the coexistence that occurs in nature is the relationship between the lynx and the Canadian rabbit. This coexistence has been recorded since before 1850, and the image shows how the abundance of the lynx grows and the rabbit decreases. But as time goes by, the number of rabbits increases and the predator decreases. A cyclical process emerges between the two species. This process allows us to observe a reciprocal regulation between the predator and the prey. This image presents a trophic network of an intertidal rocky area of central Chile. Each circle represents a species and the size of the circle is abundance. A road with one direction indicates the direction of predation. An arrow with two directions represents competition for space. In this case, the top predator is Concholepas, that feed on Barnacle and Perimytilus purpuratus. Demographic stability refers to how ecological systems respond to some disturbance. For example, extinction, physiological change, invasion of the species. When humans join the study, we appreciate our species regulate predation and competition, showing the important effect of the predator on the community. Another phenomenon that can be observed in a trophic chain is the Trophic Cascade. Trophic Cascade refers to the indirect effect of a superior predator on the basal resource through interaction with intermediate species. The variation of the Trophic Cascade force can be caused by different characteristics of predator and prey, for example, body mass. Objective: this research project aims to analyze the predator mass effect over the condition and process that support the stability of natural coexistence among species, demographic stability, and the cascade intensity with a three-level trophic chain. Methodology: the methodology considers tools of applied mathematical modeling. For example, there are techniques coming from bifurcation theory which can be useful for study the phenomenon present. The first exploratory study is carried out in a three-level trophic chain where R is the basal resource, C is the intermediate species, and P is the upper predator. The dynamics is present through a system of differential equations of continuous time where each trophic level is present by an equation. All the parameters depend on the mass of the species. The population growth rate, symbolized by the parameter R, is proportional to the body mass raised to alpha minus 1. John Damout, in the journal Nature, states that the stationary density of prey in absence of predator, symbolized by the parameter K, is proportional to the body mass raised to minus alpha. The mortality rate, predation rate, and the conversion efficiency can also be understood in terms of the body mass of the species that interact in the community. In the same way as White and Levin has proposed, I express capture efficiency as the product, the probability of predator capturing their prey, and the interaction rate. The interaction rate is described as the product between the mass of predator raised to the intensity of predation, symbolized by parameter beta. The factor F describes the predation in two ways. If the predator is much smaller than its prey, F will be a power law, while the prey is much smaller than the predator, F will a constant. According to this, the rate of change of the population in the system of the equation are equal 0, and the equilibrium point of coexistence is obtained. By replacing the parameters according to those described previously, two elements of interest are obtained for this presentation. The equilibrium density of the intermediate consumer is proportional to body mass raised to alpha minus beta minus 1, and the condition for the existence of predator must meet this inequality. With this information, it's possible to estimate the availability of resources such as the product between the basal metabolic rate and the density of the species. In this case, when alpha equals 3/4 and beta equals 1/2, the availability of resource for the superior predator is obtained that doesn't depend on the mass of the intermediate consumer, while the availability of resource for the intermediate consumer due to a strict inequality depend on the mass of the basal resource. With this result, I can explore the notion of energy equivalence, which consists in the fact that the population energy flow is independent of the mass of the species. I would like to extend this work incorporating new computational tools and working with data for Chilean ecosystem. As a reference, I present this article, Emergence and Maintenance of Biodiversity in Evolutionary Food Web Model. It's known that ecological community emerged as a consequence of gradual evolution, speciation, and immigration. In this study, research explored how this process and the structure of the involved food web are affected by species-level property. Using a model of biodiversity formation that is based on the body size as involving trait and incorporate gradual evolution and adaptive relation. They investigate how conditions for initial diversification relate to the eventual diversity of a food web. I want to complement our project with this article. This is a principal reference of the research project, and the title are The Paradox of Energy Equivalence, Size and Scaling of Predator-Prey Dynamics, Emergence and Maintenance of Biodiversity in Evolutionary Food Web Model, the Body Size Dependence of Trophic Cascade. Finally, we are optimistic that the ecosystem-level pattern may well be deducible for the simple law of organismal behavior. Thank you for your attention, and if you have questions or comments, with pleasure I will answer.